Okay, good morning. So now that all three books are available on Lulu, Time Sports, Big Country Football, and Big Country Mobster, all three books are now available for those who want them. You can go grab them. Unfortunately, Big Country Mobster can only be made in hardback, so it's just unfortunately it's a little more expensive than I wanted to price the books at. I try to price the books where I'm making like $1.50. I mean, I got to price them in such a way that if the prices go up, I'm not in debt. If people purchase something, let's say, and remember, you got to price the books for every region that they sell the books in. So I try to price them fair. I don't discriminate. So some countries cost, obviously the dollar doesn't go as far in some countries, so I'm making on some of these potential books I could be making like 60 cents. So I try not to, price the Canadian book higher than the American book, right? I don't want to, so I try to find the price that lets everybody get the book at the best value. But I don't end up owing money, right? Or however they would do that, right? I'm assuming they would charge people for that. I don't have no idea how that happens. If their prices go up, I'm assuming they'll let me know so I can change the price of the book so I'm not losing money on the books. So that should give you an idea of how little profit I'm trying to earn on. I'm just trying to make these available as collector's items and to make them available to people who like to own things and share them with the world in a high quality way as opposed to the free stuff that I put out, which again is free, but which is nice, but it's just not as nice a quality, right? So anyway, so since all three books are done and they are available for purchase now, I thought it's time to talk about Time Sports and the what is the difference between the football game and the racing game. And these are the official games now. So people can certainly ask me questions about the free versions, and I'll still answer them best I can. But as far as support in the future, when I make historical seasons for Big Country Football in the future, it will be using the book version. If I make any add-ons for Big Country Mobster, it'll be using the book version. I don't think there's a version of Big Country that's free anyway. Big Country is also available in PDF on Drive to RPG. So, but well, it is free. It's pay what you want. You can pay $1 or whatever you want to pay. So it's essentially free. But those are the only versions I'll be, and the same with Time Sports. The 5 versions that I will officially support with any add-ons or changes in the future will be from the book version. So I thought there'll be people who say, "Well, do I need it?" Well, you don't need it. I think the free versions, like Big Country Football's free version, is the advanced version. There's a little more teeth to the free version for those guys that prefer more serious, a little more depth in their football game. But that wasn't the intent of the invention. That's why these are the official, because I've said before, when I design a game, I design it thinking about everything from how much time it takes you to play, how much cognitive load it takes you to play, how much setup time it takes, what's the longevity of the game, what is it I'm trying to achieve, simulating the actual down-to-down sport, or am I just trying to give you game results, whatever. So there's an entire process that goes in. I'm sacrificing some of my I'm sacrificing some of the tabletop comfort in using a book versus charts. I mean, in the sense that with a book, you have to hold it open, right? You're going to have to put a bookmark in it, or you're going to have to transcribe things over. So, for instance, football time, no big deal. You're going to be transcribing things out anyway. You'll just need the chart to roll dice to score points. So you just put a bookmark in the book, and some people will memorize the charts after after 3 weeks into like an NFL, you're going to start to memorize the charts. So it's pretty efficient. But as I talked about before, self-containing games that you could put on your bookshelf with your comics or whatever, or set on your desk, put in a backpack for camping or fishing or traveling or whatever, with a couple of dice and a couple of notebooks and some pens, and you're on the road. Which I know, again, we live in a mobile society of phones and phone games and handheld stuff, and that's wonderful if that's your thing. Wouldn't it be nice if we could also simplify and go back in time once in a while, right? I was just thinking about as a kid growing up and picking up pay dirt in Woodland Park on our way up to camping. We went up, we're camping, we're out hiking and messing around in the rocks and doing the things kids do. But then we're back at the trailer and we're sitting on the floor of the trailer rolling dice in pay dirt. And just how it was amazing. We had the best of both worlds on on that camping trip. So anyway, and I take my stuff like pen and paper football with me everywhere I go, and sometimes I can drop out. I can a whole week. I can roll out a whole week or 3 weeks worth of games during those intervals that you're chilling, right? So let's go ahead and look at these. I didn't mean to get into this wax poetic about games in a book, but there it is. Okay, so I talked about this. This is so understand all the art generated for the books is AI, free AI art. I generated them with my prompts. I actually think they're a kick, right? They give it some visual quality and aesthetic, but they're by no means as good as human beings. AI is really bizarre to me. The things that it gets right is amazing. The things that it gets wrong, the details it gets wrong, always crack me up. So, but there's kind of a something kind of cool about that. For instance, like this guy, this is a kind of bizarre shaped looking, like the numbers here. What is that? Has he got an O in his head or what is it? This guy looks completely different. Like maybe he's jumping over a defensive player. What it does well works for, this stuff. So I'm okay with that. But it's funny. I think look at the lines on the field. They're like, what the hell is this? I mean, the gridiron. I mean, it looks like a gridiron, but it's just bizarre, kind of random stuff. But either way, it looks great. It catches kind of the abstraction of my games. Anyway, the irony is it's this kind of abstraction, kind of fictional thing. But anyway, table of contents, pretty simple, right? And then I have an introduction about the games, and then I have the whole big country world, right? This is the same world description in boxing. However, I just tweak the descriptions to not make it all about boxing. So those who have my boxing game will have read something similar to this for all the cities involved in the fictional world. Then we get another AI image of Central City circa 1948, and again, I just love the look. I wanted this black and white illustration of a 1940s big city. But again, if you look real careful at the detail, some things just aren't logical, like roads that kind of wind in, So, but you're not meant to scrutinize them for all those details, but it gives a flavor to the books. And again, these were free and completely usable. So it means I don't have to charge more for the books. I don't have to pay an artist. I don't have to wait for an artist to get the work done. However, I would like to have, if I had a budget, if I was capitalized and I had a budget, there would be no holds barred for everything about the book. But I just don't. So again, this stuff is coming out of my pocket. So, and I'm not trying to make a big profit on them. So. But I want them to be at least aesthetically pleasing. So, football time, public domain photograph of an old football. I think that's the Rams, number 7. I can't remember. It might have been. I can't remember who that is. Anyway, getting away from someone about to score, it looks like, or something. But that's fun. Anyway, so what's different about football time? Well, quite a bit. There's 7 steps in creating a team now. Everything you do to create a team impacts the next chart. So you first roll for the city you're in, and then the city decides the quality of owner you could possibly have. And the owner dictates how much your capital credits are. This, again, there's a financial module, very simple math, and that's the other thing I want to talk about. So one of the goals for the book versions was to simplify the games for efficiency and play with less record keeping, less numbers to deal with. So you're going to see more charts, and you're going to see more alphabet ratings and less number use. Racing time, I think, is superior now because of this. Okay, racing time is so much more fluid and fast and engaging because of it. So, football and racing are the 2 biggest changes here. The other games have been simplified. They're not necessarily with big changes, but football time has pretty significant changes. So we start with the size of your city, and that's going to dictate the quality owner you might have. or they might have as you make your teams, and then that's going to dictate how much capital you have. Now, this capital you do not spend at all until the off season. So all you need to know is how much money is in the bank for these teams. Okay. Then your owner grade determines your management. Your management determines your coach. Your coach determines the quality of your offense and your defense. Right. So pretty self-explanatory. You'll roll for your offensive coach, and then you'll roll for your defensive coach. Right. Then you roll for your stadium type. Stadium type will affect how much money you could possibly earn at the end of the season. Okay. Small cities cannot have large stadiums. So if you roll a large stadium, you got to re-roll for the small cities. Okay. And then I give an example of what a team looks like now. So Bayside Whalers, small town Bayside, owner, a for-profit owner, he's D. Jacob Stalls, management C. Gordy Jinks. Coach type is stubborn, Gary Shields, and then their offense is CC. They have a small two-deck, 19,000 stadium, Bayside Harbor Field, and this owner, D owner. So you'll know how much money you have for this owner for the first year. He has 1 credit. So this guy will have at least 1 credit to field a team starting next year, but he has no money in the bank to do other things yet. Okay, so football management procedure or football game procedure, and how do you play this? You match up the teams, you get the game, offense versus defense for that grade, game grade, and again, anybody who's been playing my free version. Again, I also define things in the game. I don't say, there's some options here. I tell you this is designed for 16 possessions because it is. There's a little more offense in this game. But you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But I write it so anyone who buys the book and is not familiar with these games will play it, as a rule. It's a rule book. It's a rule book, right? So I'm telling you how to play it. Then the scoring charts. Again, the Canadian football game is still in this. Although I took high school and college out of the basketball portion because I didn't want to try to again, you can get the free version of basketball that does all those things. So anyway, and I've simplified how to read these charts. Okay, and then I give an entire box score, what a game looks like. I think a lot of this is still in the free version, so you can get this. Okay, then there's the off-season procedures, and then there's the season credit earnings, and then there's how to spend those credits and how your teams can fold up if you don't have the money. And then the league, this is not completely new. This is also in the Big Country Football book. I use the same football league for both books. They're just rated different, right? So and then of course I give a schedule, so you could immediately grab this book when you get it in the mail and sit down and play Central City at Fort Jefferson week 1. So there's a schedule in here for year 1 as well. And that schedule is on every page, and then eventually come to the end where it's the playoffs and the championship. Again, I just put the schedule on the team description pages. So instead of like 4 pages of just a list of schedule, which I thought wasn't as attractive, I thought it'd be kind of cool to. So yeah, when you get to week 13, you just flip open to this page and you start this schedule, right? If you want to, week 13, 14. All right. The point is, it conserved pages, which is cheaper for all of us, right? All right, and then we have the Unionville Toughs here, and then we have Baseball Time, which has never, technically has never been seen before. I did put up a free version of Baseball Time for a split second. It was far from what I wanted, so I've actually taken that down and I've revised it a little bit for the book. So there's Baseball Time for the first time is in the game, and again, it's a very simple version. It's early in my Baseball Time thinking, so I don't know how deep this game could get in future, but for now, this is it. There's a Baseball Time League. For those who want to make the teams and play, you could use these as an example. I give an example of what the schedule for this league would look like. However, you can use any schedule you want and make your own leagues, of course. Right, and then there's Racing Time, which is really Racing Time 3. And it is, I think it is by far the best version of Racing Time. And Racing Time is my favorite game of mine. It's about, this whole book is probably going to push Lost Ship off my desert island because I talked about before, my desert island games now must be something I can package and go with. They have to be games in a book, generally sports games, and this is probably going to knock Lost Ship or Sword and Wizardry White Box. My own book is going to knock off one of my things, mostly for football and Racing Time because those are my two favorite things. I'm thinking, and I'm working on a Boxing Time game, which would be simpler than Big Country Boxing. but it might be a little more dynamic in the round-around battles. So I'm working on a concept for Boxing Time. Okay. Anyway, so there's Racing Time, and this again is and there's a little again public domain art of an open world. This is my favorite era, 1950s, 60s open world racing. I just loved this era of racing. So good, so good. Anyways, that's the inspiration, and then I give a little bit of addition information, and then the game. The little changes here. They're called phases, and the fifth phase now is called the home stretch. It's not just finish. So the home stretch is an actual turn now. It's a complete turn. Everything is graded now. Your drivers are graded, your cars are graded, your team is graded, your race grade, and then you get a race grade that you use for the racing charts. The race grade chart now, you can have an event happen. You can score 1 point or up to 3 if you're a great team. Right, so then here's the turn order sequence, so it's much faster because now we're not all over the place. You'll conduct everything for one driver on one turn, and you'll not have to go back and backtrack in the middle of a turn. So you'll see what I mean. You'll have to, of course, get the book and read it. There's pit stop table now, and there's event tables now. So event tables, so that the scoring is not just a dice 6 roll, add points to the grade. Scoring now can either be points, or it can be an event, or a pit stop, or did not. So now you don't just roll a d6 for a number. You actually roll a d6 for something, right? It's a chart. That chart can lead to another chart, right? And then it could lead to, right? Okay. And then we have fiery wreck chart. So now what happens when there is a fiery wreck? You have to roll their driver grade versus their wreck. And they could be killed. They could be knocked out for multiple races. Their career could be ended. Okay. Post-race scoring, this is similar to what's already out there free, just how to track your season to see who's winning, right? And then, of course, now the teams have changed. There's driver grades, there's car grades, which together make a team grade. So your teams now literally are just the team that owns the team name and owns the cars. But they don't actually have a grade. So teams now do not have a grade. Their grade is made by who they contract and the quality of their car. So BRM is a name, and they would obviously own those 2 cars. They own car 21 and 33, but Hill and the quality of their car will give a team grade to BRM, and BRM, as you can see here, has now 2 grades. So they have 2 cars, but not equal. So that team grade is now matched against the track grade, and that'll tell you how well Hill can handle Bayside, or how well Taggart can race Bayside. So now a team can have 2 different drivers, 1 type of car, but they can make 2 different grades. So this, they've got 2 drivers, but they're not equal. Right? Hill is not the same as Taggart. Hill's a better driver than Taggart in this D car, right? And now pit crews have a chart, so they need a grade, right? So what is the thinking behind this is less cognitive load. We're using more charts, so we get more out of the D6, and less math. You're not looking at this chart seeing +4, +6, +5, +2, -1. You're not seeing this like massive numbers. It just changes the whole nature of the abstract, right? How to create teams, and you can only create them if there's somebody's dead, or it's the end of the season, or they lose the contract or something. And it's very simple to grade a new car, new drivers, and it's not sophisticated. Big country teams, and then I do still have the write-up of the teams, because now BRM owns the cars. So at the end of every season, you're going to roll to see what the quality of BRM's cars are going in, as they've worked on them in the off-season to build a new car. BRM went into this season with a D-grade car. Well, BRM next year might literally, bam, push out a A-rated car and still have these same 2 drivers under contract, right? And so that's going to change their racing grade through the year. So, but BRM is still a entity with a history. They just aren't graded. They're only graded based on the people they employ and the car they create, as opposed to just a team grade, right? So your teams could change quite a bit between season, is what that I'm getting at, without the need of a financial module. So one of the things I didn't want to do was add a financial module to the racing game. I want it to be dynamic. I want the teams to be there all the time. I want them to change. I want the drivers to change. I want the cars to change. I don't want to be hassling with money in the racing game. And anyway, that's where I'm at there. That's why one reason why all the grades have had to become a thing. Again, there is a thought and a reasoning behind why I do what I do. Other people may love the free game more, and that's wonderful because I love the free game. So, big country tracks now have a grade. So the toughest tracks in here are Middletown and Bayside. The easiest track, Central City's a nice track, Paradise City easy track, and you'll match the team grade on start day with the course grade. So a team that's an F team on an A track is going to have a long day, right? It's going to be a rough race weekend for them. And then, of course, I described the tracks. That's a description. Okay. Basketball time, as I already said, really what's changed with basketball time is I've simplified it. I've taken out high school and college references, and I have simplified, and I've changed also the value of your sixth man. Your sixth man now only affects the second and fourth quarter scoring, right? As opposed to the whole game. So in the free version, the sixth man affects every single quarter. Now they only affect the second and fourth quarter. And at the end of the game, again, the tie break, the top sixth man, we use the top sixth man. If they're tied, use the home team's sixth man to decide the game, the fate of the game. And then I put in here the basketball teams that are in my league. Again, I don't put the teams in, I just give the names of them, and then you can make the teams. Part of the reason of the book is I give you team creation so you can make your own leagues and teams, but I also like to give you inspiration and say, hey, you can make these teams, and here's how the schedule would look. So, but this is just for inspiration. You don't have to use these teams, obviously. But so you also know that, by the way, in my world, Bayside's basketball team is the Gulls. The Sharpshooters, the Smoke, Coaldale Smoke. So you would have a sense of what's happening in my universe. Might coincide with your own region and your own teams, that you know that somewhere else out here in this fake America are the Paradise City Bootleggers are playing basketball, right? It's just a different league, right? I'm thinking about putting together a website and posting all of my league's results, so people could follow them like kind of like a league, like a newspaper. You'd go and click a page and go to the basketball league and see what's happening in my basketball league, etc. But I haven't had time to do anything but create and get these damn books done. And then Hockey Time is the last. It's the fifth, and Hockey Time is simplified, faster, again easier, and also now only requires the D6. You don't require the D100s anymore. It's again, I'm trying to get this where everything you could grab a D6 and go on vacation. This book, a notebook and some pencils, and you're ready to go. I've simplified a lot of the extraneous roles. I've simplified to possessions. One of my friends in Discord uses possession like a possession clock, and I thought, oh, that's genius. Instead of having a random D6 clock that the free game uses, so I'm using the same kind of concept. So it's a little easier cognitively, but it's also faster to not have to roll that fourth die for your clock, which is great. And it guarantees a certain set chance at a number of things happening. And then I give an idea, again, of what a game will look like when you play it here as an example. And then the Hockey Association, my hockey league, the Coaldale Canaries, the Grand Bay Seals, the Middleton. And again, I'm an original six guy. In NHL, I love the original six historical seasons. I'm just an original six guy, so all of my hockey leagues always feature. Even my football leagues are like 6 or 8 teams. I love small leagues where we get intimate. I get to know the teams. I get to know the players. So my hockey league is the same, right? They're these intimate small league of teams, and this harkens back to the glory days. Or I shouldn't say the glory days. It harkens back to the history of NHL. In the original six, right? And of course, every team is rated, ready to play. These teams are all ready to go. I did not do this with baseball or basketball. I left those available for you to make, but I did put my teams in here, and their coach and their owner and their ratings. Now, there's one final piece to this, and that's it. That is so. For those who are going, do I want to buy this? What's the difference? Well, I wanted to let you know what it looked like once the books were available. So there you have it. Also, I want to make note. This is something I didn't mention in the book, but I debated on it, and I thought, I don't know if it might be confusing to people, and it might make people think something's. But you could use the Football Time Team Creation Guide and the financial module for all of these games, right? you literally could use this module to create your baseball teams, because again, all you need to know, right? And what's cool about that is that automatically gives you your owner of your racing leagues. You'll know who your owner is. Or it's a big city owner. I'm rolling up a big city racing team. Oh wow, they're in a small town. I'm going to roll to see, well, who owns them in a small town? Oh, a cheap owner owns this team, and now I know right there. I have a grade to determine, right, other factors. So you could use this more advanced team creation guide with finances, right? And then tweak this. I mean, again, you can do anything you want. That's the beautiful thing about tabletop. You can tweak it and change it to your heart's content. But it's something I thought about making a universal league and team creation for all sports. But then it hit me that not all sports are going to have the same details. So I didn't. But I just feel compelled to point out you could use this to make your baseball teams, your basketball teams, etc., right? However, you're going to have to then closely monitor what you're rolling for, the pitchers, the batters, the fielders, right? So you've got a baseball coach, and he's going to affect the quality of your pitchers and the quality of your batters, etc. Your owner's going to affect the quality of your management. Your management's going to affect the quality of your coach. Your coach is going to dictate your positions, your point guard, your shooting guard, etc. So your coach becomes the guy who basically fleshes out your team, your drivers, your pit crew. So you could do that. I just didn't make it universal, but there it is. So anyway, everybody, have a wonderful week. I am leaving. We are leaving now, literally leaving town in the next 45 minutes. So we're packed up. I had a lot to do around the house the last couple of days, so I wasn't going to make any more videos. I'd already logged. I'd already sent my email on vacation. And then I got my books in the mail, and I felt compelled to get out my tripod and quickly share the books. And then this morning, after seeing the books and seeing the quality, I went ahead and set the other two books available for sale. I updated the cover of Big Country Football, so the back page of Big Country Football should be a legible chart now. So I'm really excited. The books are available. I hope they come out as well as these proofs have come out. But anyway, there you have it, folks. Everybody have a great week. I will be back. I will be coming back and then leaving again, and so I doubt I'll have rear my head for at least 5 days, but you never know. All right, everybody, good day.